Hey, what's going on, tribe? It's Red again, just hitting you guys up with another video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. So guys, this video is just like an overview of things that I experienced during 2021. Some of them were Ascension Symptoms, and some of them were just things that happened during 2021. Send you guys some blessings. Peace, love, light, oneness, unity, abundance, health. Hope everyone's doing okay during 2022. We're just starting and trying to make this a good year. So let's just begin anyway. So 2021 was a rough year for me, from processing a lot of stuff, physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually. So it did take a toll, man. Yeah, it was quite a rough year, man. Trying to do a lot of self-love and not being hard on myself from going through what I was going through, and just the whole experience of it, man. Because yeah, self-love is important, and not be too hard on yourself. I've learned during my journey so far, being on my spiritual path, because I always used to beat myself up and yeah, be quite mean to myself for feeling a certain way or doing certain things. And it's like, dude, yeah, it's a part of the human experience. It's all about learning and growing, and feeling what you're going through. Feeling is healing, as we say, as I say, whatever. So to start the year in 2021, should I say? So to start the year, what was it? The end of December. It was the beginning of Capricorn season anyway. We was in Mercury Retrograde, so that started it off. I think that was in January. I swear it was in January. So that started off being in retrograde. Kind of sucks, because certain things come back up to the to try to test your willpower in retrograde. So I kind of failed at that lesson. And retrograde makes you kind of experience certain things as well. So I started with the retrograde and the lesson that I failed at. And then second of all, within a few months, might have been February, March, I had a dark night of the soul. So after the retrograde was having a dark night of the soul. So that was basically experiencing some fucking darkness and shit. That's obviously come to the surface to get cleaned and cleansed, healed and released. So that was fucking rough. But I was in that, still in it now, not really now, but yeah, I'm processing stuff now, but not as much as fucking March, man. March, I lasted for about 6 months. That fucking sucked, man. Yeah, dark night of the soul is having all your shadow side come to the forefront. So if you've been suppressing a lot, and you haven't done a lot of healing and shit, yeah, the dark night of the soul can be very traumatic. Yeah, the first time I went through a dark night of the soul, wow, yeah, the first dark night of the soul, that is a fucking challenge. I think my first, was I suicidal before? I think I might have been suicidal before the dark night of the soul, or during that whole experience. Dark night of the soul, being suicidal. I'm not saying this for everyone, but it was just my experience. Yeah, the first time was fucking, it was rough. That was an experience. That was not a pleasant experience as well. So yeah, we went for a dark night of the soul last year. Had an ego death as well last year. So this is while having a dark night of the soul. Usually before I had the ego death, I had the dark night of the soul before, but all this was all fucking tying into one this year. So I was like, alright, it was kicking my ass. So yeah, having a dark night of the soul, having an ego death as well, and experiencing some of the Ascension Symptoms and stuff, like, I don't know, short-term memory loss, ear ringing and stuff like that. So experiencing certain things on an energy level, and experiencing the ego death and fucking dark night of the soul. That fucking sucked, man. It was a rough year, man. That's why I weren't as consistent with the videos, because I was fucking processing a lot. So after the dark night of the soul, having a loss of identity, I think that ties in with the dark night of the soul. So a lot of the stuff that that I was used to like doing, I kind of stopped liking. So having a loss of identity and fucking depersonalization, or whatever it's called. So experiencing loss of identity and a depersonalization as well. That kind of sucked. And not being grounded, because the energy was all over the place. So I couldn't stay grounded while experiencing all of this shit. So I was basically flying, not knowing who the fuck I am, where I'm going, and shit. So that kind of fucking sucked, man. So the loss of identity kind of sucked as well, because even all my my spiritual practices, like meditating, being out in nature, and all my healing practices, I had no interest in doing them. I still tried to do them. I tried to do them when I could, because I was fucking kind of struggling. But being out in nature, I was out in nature quite a lot. That did help. But the practices just weren't working for me for some reason. Like before I could, they would work. Like if my thoughts were overthinking stuff, I could meditate and be calm. But last year that weren't working for me, dude. So the loss of identity and depersonalization, and then I had to experience, this was just a part of the experience as well, I had a lot of surrendering and letting go to do in 2021. So things that no longer served me, I had to let go of. Not going to go into too much detail with that, so I had a lot of letting go to do and a lot of surrendering. But being a Capricorn and having a fucking being an indigo soul, being an indigo child, should I say, surrendering is something we don't do lightly. So letting go, so being a Capricorn, change and letting go is one thing I kind of struggle with. And then surrendering, being an indigo child, surrendering no, you can't. I'm just defiant, and surrendering is not a no-go for me anyway. So I had to practice that, and I need to still practice the letting go and surrendering, because certain things are out of our control in the universe, and the only way to kind of move past that is by letting go and surrendering to the universe. Okay, next. This ties in with the dark night of the soul and the ego death, is past trauma. So all my past trauma from childhood, school and shit, all of that come up to the surface, all last year as well. Certain family issues and stuff, so had to be processing a lot of that as well with the past trauma. And certain experience kind of certain experience this year triggered that. Most of this, actually, to be fair, which is very interesting. Oh, that's a part of the healing journey that I'm on. Interesting. Okay, so it's just getting more downloads and shit. Alright, yeah, so processing a lot of past trauma. And one of the main lessons last year was attachment. So I'm going to do a video on that. But yeah, attachment. So I'm not going to go into that too much, because I'm going to do a separate video. So also last year, what I was experiencing was how sensitive the subconscious mind is. Because in 2020, this might be just a delayed reaction to 2020 with the whole lockdowns and all that shit, because 2020 was a good year for me. It was a real high vibrational year, and 2021 was just like a train wreck, should I say. Maybe it was the Mayan calendar when the world was meant to end instead of 2012. I don't know, but for me, yeah, 2021 felt like it was just like, yeah, the finishing of the old world, should I say. But to begin with, in 2020 was there was a lot of stuff going around about the jab, and a lot of stuff floating around about the jab, lockdowns, and fucking genocide, and a lot of stuff was going around. And if you know your stuff in it, like if you do your research, you kind of know what's happening. So I know all this was going on anyway, but when I started actually processing it, a lot of it got stored in my subconscious and I couldn't shake it off. So that kind of put me in this dark, depressing thing, like place, while dealing with all the other shit. Because yeah, there's yeah, we can't escape what's going on. It's just a part of the journey, and we got to experience it. That's why we incarnated, to help with this shift. So when I'm thinking, oh yeah, genocide is actually happening, and fucking everyone's out there lining up for the and stuff, I'm thinking, like, there's not much we can do. You can fucking share stuff on the internet. You can inform as many people as you want, but down to at the end of the day, it's down to them. They got free will, and it's their choice at the end of the day. So knowing all that stuff was going down, and basically I've got to sit here and kind of witness it, that kind of yeah, put me in a real dark place, man. So yeah, being more aware. So that's why I come off social media, trying to sort out my subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind is very powerful, and I knew the subconscious was powerful, but yeah, sitting there on Insta flicking, and you think you're not actually reading it, but you're storing it in your subconscious mind. And then when it comes to 2021, all the stuff I was processing from last year, just from Insta or YouTube, whatever, started coming up to the surface when you're seeing, oh yeah, they're rolling out the jab, this like only 4 months after lockdown. Is like, what, bro, that was a bit quick and shit. So it's like, oh shit, it is actually happening. Like, shit is happening, innit? And I knew this before, but watching it play out in a short period of time, it's like literally like, fuck, like, what are we gonna do, like, as like, yeah, what are we gonna do there? Yeah, it's mad, it's wild. Like, I was processing a lot in it, so had to come off social media and kind of get grounded again and process all of that shit plus my other shit. And then obviously also dealing with the collective energy, like feeling isolated, alone, disconnected from reality and shit. Most of it weren't even mine, because more time I'm quite comfortable on my own and in my own company and doing my own shit. But this time, it's like, maybe it's from last year processing like the collective, because a lot of the collective had to be isolated and alone and had to kind of sit with themselves and process shit, and kind of had to go through their own dark night of the soul to kind of realize shit. So I think some of the stuff I was picking up last year was a lot of the collective stuff as well. And so with this whole thing going on, one of my main lessons was fucking trusting the process, man. Which was, I've got it tattooed on my hand, have faith. And I just weren't having faith in the process. I weren't trusting at all. After process, like the human experience, having a look back at where we was going, like last year was just like, fuck, like, yeah, the world is actually fucking ending, bruv. We're gonna lose a lot of people. It's just fucking going mad, innit? So I wasn't trusting the process, because there's universal laws and things just play out how they have to play out, and we have to just experience that, because we incarnated to help with the shift of the consciousness and help raise the vibration of the planet. That is the soul mission for incarnating here. That's my purpose anyway. But yeah, I just weren't trusting that. I weren't trusting that at all. So that was one of the lessons. Trusting the process, just having faith, because we're all spiritually protected. But yeah, the ego is very sly, and the ego is very sly, and it likes to think it's in charge, but it's not in charge. Once you become aware of that, once you become conscious, you start understanding how the ego likes to operate. But yeah, it's very hard sometimes, because I tend to forget it. It's like, dude, like, that's not even me, that's the ego, like, and you're not your ego. Your ego is not your amigo. So yeah, not trusting the process, not trusting the process. And yeah, sorry, last we've got a couple more. Yeah, feeling spiritually blocked. Like after experiencing all of this, usually I'm connected to source. Like I get messages, downloads, channeling. I can channel and shit. But for some reason, last year I got cut off. Dread. Like I was shut off. Like nothing. Like I got bits and pieces, but usually it like I'm connected to above and below. Like I'm solid, innit? So last year I was just cut off as well. So I was like, oh, so experiencing all this, and not being connected, get it to above, should I say? Even though we are connected anyway, because if you sever your light cord, then you perish basically. Your energetic cord, your energy source is done basically, innit? But then I got a psychic reading done. Well, someone said they wanted to give me a psychic reading from one of my local shops or whatever. They was like, oh yeah, I've got some messages that I need to give you or whatever. And I got another reading done last year as well. And they basically said, yeah, I must have got murdered in one of my past lives for that being a witch or a wizard and having powers or whatever. So in this lifetime I kind of shut them off and scared to go past a certain thing, and I was like, oh yeah, it kind of makes sense. So yeah, there's that, being blocked spiritually. And I did get some gifts come through early last year. Like I had a little taste of telepathy for a little while. That was quite good. I got a channeled message from source or a divine being, archangel or whatever, last year. And I woke up one time and there was a being sitting on my bed. I couldn't see it, but I could just feel the outline of it. It's like kind of comforting. And yeah, there was the gifts that come through. And then yeah, the last one is after experiencing all this, I was kind of just looking at the world and thinking, wow, the world is actually fucking, it's a mess. It's a mess. That's why we've incarnated to help with the shift and to try help Mother Earth, man, because it is yeah, down here is wild. The 3D reality and the human experience, even though I've done this several times over, reincarnated again. Yeah, the world does need help, and the children that are being born from now are the next generation to help shift the world, that Mother Earth, into higher consciousness, man. So yeah, that was just a little review of 2020 and some Ascension Symptoms and some things I just was experiencing through 2021, man. But yeah, 2022 got to get some things in place. Yeah, but it was just a little overview of 2021, guys. If you like the video and if you can relate to any of the stuff I experienced during this video, hit the comments, man. Hit me up, and I'll put my email in the video as well, man. But peace, love and light, guys, and I'm gonna hit you guys up real soon.